Welcome, dear listener. You are tuned to the Christian voice in your home. This is Radio Maria. My name is Father Gerald. I welcome you to the reflection of the readings of 14th Sunday in the Ordinary Time. Dear listener, the first reading this Sunday is from Ezekiel chapter 2, verse 2 to 5. The responsorial psalm is Psalm 125. The second reading, St. Paul's letter to 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 7 to 10. The gospel comes from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 6, verse 1 to 6. Allow me to read the gospel. Jesus departed from there and came to his native place, accompanied by his disciples. When the Sabbath came, he began to teach in the synagogue, and many who heard him were astonished. They said, "Where did this man get all this? What kind of wisdom has been given him? What mighty deeds are wrought by his hands? Is he not the carpenter, the son of Mary, and the brother of James and Joseph and Judas and Simon? Are not his sisters here with us?" And they took offense at him. Jesus said to them, "A prophet is not without honor except in his own native place, and among his own kin, and in his own house." So he was not able to perform any mighty deeds there, but from curing the few who were sick and laying his hand on them, he was amazed at their lack of faith. Dear listener, the Holy Gospel of the Lord. So I welcome you to the Sunday reflection, and to tell you, dear listener, that these words from St. Paul's letter to 2 Corinthians gives me my theme. God is saying, "My grace is sufficient for you." Dear listener, the Lord told Paul that the Lord's grace will help Paul overcome his affliction. Jesus is going through also a tough time because his people do not understand him. So, dear listener, today's gospel describes what many believe to have been the typical pattern of Jesus' ministry. Teaching in the synagogue, followed by the acts of healing in his hometown of Nazareth. People are amazed by what they hear, but they also cannot comprehend how someone they know very well might move them so powerfully. So in this gospel, we learn some interesting details about Jesus and his early life. Jesus' people knew him to be a carpenter, an artisan who works with wood, stone, and metal. He probably learned this trade from his father, Joseph. Family members of Jesus are also named. The Gospel of Mark described Jesus as the son of Mary, which is an unusual designation. So adult males were typically identified with the names of their fathers. It is unclear why Mark deviates from this custom. So, the most severe critics are often people very familiar to us, dear listener. A member of our family, a relative, or a neighbor, a co-worker, a colleague we rub shoulders with on a daily, regular basis. So Jesus faced a severe testing when he returned to his hometown, not simply as a carpenter's son, but now as a rabbi with the disciples. It would have been customary for Jesus to go to the synagogue each week during the Sabbath, and when he came to read from the scriptures during the Sabbath service. So Jesus startled his familiar audience with a seeming rebuke that no prophet or servant of God can receive honor among his own people. So the people of Nazareth took offense at Jesus and refused to listen to what he had to say. They despised his teaching and preaching because he was a mere workman, a carpenter, a layman who had no formal training by a scholar or a teacher. So they also despised him because of his undistinguished family background. How familiarity can breed contempt, dear listener. Jesus could not do mighty works in their midst because they were closed-minded and unbelieving towards him. If people have come together and hate and refuse to understand, then they will see, dear listener, no point of view that their own can or will refuse to love and accept others. So, dear listener, the word gospel literally means good news. Jesus came to bring good news. Prophet Isaiah 61 verse 1 to 2 says, he prophesied that the Messiah will come in the power of the Holy Spirit to bring freedom to the afflicted, so those who suffered from physical and mental oppression. So Jesus came to set people free, not only from their physical, mental, and spiritual infirmities, but also from the worst affliction of all, the tyranny of slavery to sin, Satan, and the fear of losing one's life. So God's power alone can save us from hopelessness, dejection, and emptiness of life. So the gospel tells us that Jesus is hampered from performing miracles in Nazareth because of the people's lack of faith. Jesus is said to be surprised by this. He did not predict or foresee this rejection. So the passage unfolds and continues the theme of Mark, who Jesus is. Jesus is the Son of God. Mark is foreshadowing Jesus' rejection by his own people, by the people of Israel. So, dear listener, while many of the first Christians were Jewish, Christians took hold and flourished in the Gentile community. Mark's community was more a Gentile community who may have been experiencing persecution. By showing Jesus himself was rejected, Mark consoles and reassures his first readers. He also prepares us to accept this possible consequence in our Christian discipleship.